Mushrooms are always in season, given that they're grown in an indoor environment and controlled environment. You can buy mushrooms and they're grown all year round. From the time they fill the rooms in a mushroom farm, they're basically picking mushrooms 15 to 16 days after filling the rooms. Mushrooms started in the 1930s in Australia, and they're grown out in the fields, and predominantly in them days you'd have to pick them very early so the sun wouldn't hit the mushrooms, and a lot of the mushrooms in them days would have been field mushrooms, which is more open mushrooms. What happened in the 1950s, it went from being grown out in the fields to more of a controlled environment, being indoors, and that's when you saw more mass scale of production of mushrooms. You've got your white mushrooms, small buttons, medium buttons, your barbecue flats. A lot of people like to stuff barbecue flats. They chop the stalk, or some people like to put ham, bacon, onions, and put some cheese on top. You've got your brown mushrooms, Swiss brown buttons. We've got Swiss brown, which are called portobellos. It's basically a brown mushroom, a highly flavoursome mushroom. You'd see in the shops, Swiss browns are a lot more expensive than the white mushrooms, because in the growing process, a Swiss brown doesn't yield as much as a white mushroom, hence why they're more expensive. I believe the Swiss brown has more flavour as well, personally. And a lot of the exotic mushrooms, being oyster mushrooms, shitaki mushrooms, enoki mushrooms, highly used in the Asian cuisine. People have identified their beautiful flavours, and they're using them in other cuisines as well these days. Then you've got your pine mushrooms, you've got your slippery jacks. It's quite an extensive list. Yeah, mushrooms are high in antioxidants, great vitamin D. Look, I have customers that come on the stand and grab a button and eat them raw. I personally can't eat them raw, but a lot of people do. Hence why you see mushrooms in so many salads these days. If you go to the sydneymarket.com.au page, there's a lot of mushroom recipes. Portobello mushrooms with roasted capsicum baps. You've got mushroom leek and chickpea soup with parmesan croutons. You've got mushroom and lamb burgers, veggie egg and cheese lunch pies with mushrooms. You go onto that page and I'm sure you'll find something you're looking for. Me personally, I love cooking them on a barbecue, using them as an appetizer when people come over. Just put some salt, pepper, oregano, olive oil, and they taste fantastic. I take champignon, which are the real baby buttons, home, and my wife pickles them, and I put them in jars and I give them to my neighbours. But once again, it's just all a process. And it's when my wife's prepared to do it for me. I believe that the vegetarian's meal, but I love them myself. So go to your local greengrocer to buy your mushrooms.